Hey everybody, George here at Myshire. Today we are not talking about quail. So this year we are going to do our first attempt at putting our own home-raised pigs to use. We're going to build a whole hog cooker pit this year. So when I grew up in Indiana, this was something we'd done every year. We'd cook a whole hog, but we'd do it in the ground. Now, we dig a new hole every year and cook it in the ground, but here we're going to put in a permanent pit so that we can experiment just for the farm for 4th of July. And possibly if this works out, we'll be doing some stuff later on that you guys might be included in. So, first off, we got our block. I marked out and measured about the size of the pit that I felt I was going to need for the pigs that we have and anything else we might want to do down the road, because it'll be multi-purpose since we have Angus cows on the farm too. Say we wanted to do half a cow or a quarter cow smoked whole in this, we'd be able to. Or if we're processing a bunch of pigs to go in the freezer and not be cooked, we could smoke the bacon, the hams in here. So it's really going to be beneficial since it's going to take wood and not propane or electricity, so it's going to have a lot of extra uses. So I got my block. We was able to get a good deal on the block, so that's a benefit. So the first thing that I had to do past that was pick where I was going to put the thing, because it's going to be pretty big. It's, it's going to be about 6 foot by 6 foot square, probably. A lot of real estate, something we got to look at all the time. So this fence row is overgrown, as you can see, but it's nice and flat. So because since I want this to stay and look nice and be good, I want it flat. So this is a nice flat spot. I'm going to clear this brush out today, make a spot for it. It's going to be out of the way. It's still going to look nice with this face on the block. Still concrete structure in the middle of the yard. Well, not in the middle of the yard, off to the side. So that's why I've picked this spot. It's flat. I got to do a little bit of work to get it ready for this, but I'll get this cleaned out and then we'll go through the process of building this thing. Alright everyone, so we are back a couple hours later. I've got this spot cleared out. So I'm sure Zach's put some pictures in of us clearing this out. If you forget what it looks like, we'll go ahead and just put the beginning picture in right here. Now, I'm ready to start laying the block. And I wish it was as easy as just picking it up and putting it on the ground. But since I want this here to be able to be used all through this year and next year and years to come, I have to put sand down. So I've got some sand here, and I have to use the sand to level the blocks out. So a lot of times you'd want to start a project in the lowest spot. This time I'm going to start in the highest spot of the project, and that way I can build the low spots up, because I don't want to start on the low side, build it up a little and not have it build up enough for my high spot and then dig stuff out. I don't really want to dig stuff out. I'd rather just put sand down. So I'm going to take this microphone off. I'll give you a quick rundown of setting the blocks, and then once I have the first row down, we'll come back again. But for now, I'm just going to put a couple blocks down, give you an idea of what I'm doing, and then we'll talk about the next step. Put some sand down. Bring my first block over. I do have a level here, and this is going to be very important to keep these level. When you're putting them down and you're just eyeballing it, it might look level, but by the time I hit row 3, I'll have crowns in the middle and I'll really see it. So I'm going to use the sand to get it level. So I've got it where I like it. So that is my base. Everything will be leveled from that block. It doesn't matter if I put the next one in and it's a ½ inch lower than that one in level. Not good. I'm going to build it up so that it's level from there. I'll put 4 blocks out and build my ends. You can see that it's not sitting right here and it is underneath the level, so we are going to, this is the worst part of the whole project. It's going to be getting this bottom in, but properly putting this bottom in is going to make the rest of this project go a whole lot better, because I can't fix level on row 3, so we're still a little off. So you see I got to bring this whole block up. I took it down too much. But basically this is going to be my project for probably the next 3 hours. I have a whole 16 blocks to put down and it's probably going to take me 3 hours to get them down level. But then the rest of the project I'll probably stack the next 5 rows in an hour after that. So got a couple blocks to cut. We'll talk about that when we get there. So I'll get this base down and we'll be back with you probably tomorrow. So, see you then. All right, everyone, so I'm back. It's day 2. I've spent all morning putting my foundation here in. It is good and level. It is not square. I'm off by about 1 inch in the back. Don't care. It's not going to be seen. It's level, which makes the rest of the progress a lot easier. And that's not going to matter. That's not going to affect the functionality. So, as you can see, I have opted to put sand in the blocks on the bottom row. Now, I've done some research and I've not seen anybody doing this, but most people that are doing this are going to be doing a smaller 120, 140 pound hog, and they're going to start it in the morning, cooking for 8 or 9 hours. But I understand the fact that potentially here we're going to be doing 200 pound, 250 pound hogs, and I'm going to have 16, 18 hour cooks, which means I have to get up every hour all night to put new coals on this, since I'm not actually making a fire in here. Now when we go do the cooking process, we'll talk more about that, which will probably be a different video. So stay tuned, we'll make a series out of this. But what I'm hoping this sand will do is that overnight, if I miss an alarm and I don't get up, that this sand will help these blocks hold some heat so I don't lose too much progress, because the more often that I lose heat, I'm going to add hours to my cook time, and I don't want to do that. So I've put sand in these to insulate them some, to hold that heat, because the block's going to hold a little heat, but with the big holes in the middle, it's not going to hold a lot of heat. So filling those in, I'm hoping, will help hold heat overnight. So I'm ready to start the second layer. And if you've never messed with brick or block or concrete blocks, now you're probably going to want to take your block and stack it like this. Looks nice, but it's not going to work. Once you get 3, 4, 5 high all in the same spot, it's going to want to tip and lean, and it's not going to be stable. So I've got a corner block here. It's got a face here and a face here for my match. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap this half. I'm going to run it out to the end, and so that puts this block on my face wall, and my sidewall, so that's going to help hold that sidewall in and stop it from falling over. And then I got normal blocks, and this is it for the next rows. I'm just going to, you know, make sure they're even in the fronts, and I'm just stack and go now. So we are going to do 3 rows, and again on the next row I've got a corner block with a face. I'm going to overlap my sidewall with my face wall, and this is going to hold all this together. So I'm going to build the rest of this, and I have some stuff to do today, so tomorrow I'll be back and we will talk about the 4th row. It's going to be a little different. I have some extra steps to do. I'll explain why then. So I'm going to get to work, and I'll see you guys later. All right, everybody, so we're back. As you can see, we have made some progress on the pit. So I have built it up 3 layers. They're 8-inch blocks. That's 24 inches. So that's going to put my pig 24 inches away from the heat source, which you don't want it any closer than that, or you'll end up burning it. So we're at 24 inches, and the goal is we're going to use the rebar as the support here. As you can see, I've got it laid across about where I want it. It'll be moved around a little bit as I get it put in the blocks. And this is going to hold the weight of my pig that I put in here, or whatever I decide to put in here. Now, this was the only piece of this that we have, but I'm going to look for a bigger piece of this that will cover the whole thing, so that as I'm cooking my pig and he's getting nice and tender and shreddable, it's not just falling through. So this is going to hold that together. We'll put him in a cage too. We'll talk about that in a different video. So this part, I want this to look nice still, and I could just take my block. If you're doing a temporary one, you could take your block and just set it on top of the rebar. You'll have one more row on top of this, but I want to use this all the time, and I want it to stay here and look good. So here's where one of my favoriteest tools comes in. If you watched my cage repair video, you'll know that this is just a diamond masonry blade. Love this thing, use it for everything. Pretty much built the barn with this thing, if you can believe that. So what I've done is I have cut notches in the back side of my block. Real easy, doesn't take long. It is going to make a lot of dust, I'm sure you can see that, so you will want to wear a mask and eye protection while you're doing this, and hearing protection for the grinder. So what this is going to do, I'll just line that up, put it where I want it. That's also going to keep, you know, I got a little bit of room because this is going to heat up, and I don't want it shifting my blocks when it heats up. So little room, nice and level. So I've got some more blocks to cut. I'm going to get this stacked the rest of the way up, get the roof ready, and then I'll be back with you for the last part of this video. So I'll see you soon. All right, guys, we have done it. I've got all the bricks cut. I've got my rebar in. I have not got a chance to get out and find my new plate. I'm going to call it my plate for the pig. But I'm about 240. I've put on some weight. You know, I eat real well here, and it's solid. I shouldn't ever have anything more than 250 pounds in here. Just not the space for it. So I'm not worried about what I put in here falling down. So I've cut the top for this. It's some pieces of metal that's on about its 4th project here, and hopefully its last one. So I've got 2 pieces of this, and these will go over the top. They'll hold the smoke in, hold the heat in. So that's a wrap for this. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel. Like my video, hit the little bell to get a notification, because within the next day or 2 we're going to do a test fire in this, see how it heats up, show you guys how it heats up, and talk about how we're heating this up, because it's not as simple as just lighting a fire in the bottom of this and letting it go. It's actually going to be a very time consuming project, and we'll cover that in the next video if you want to see that, so stay tuned.